Good morning, Kaffeeklatsch. How's everyone doing today? Let me get comments up. Make sure I can see everyone. Let's see. We had a little hiccup this morning, but we will have no more hiccups today. No more technical hiccups. Good morning. Welcome to MoB Kaffeeklatsch episode 162. It's going to be an awesome show. Thank you all for being here. Oh, let's see who's here. Good morning, Chris Mendoza. Good morning, Audrey. I hope you're feeling better. Enid, good morning. Heather, good morning. Connie, good morning. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you all. It's a very sunny, bright day here in New York City. Yeah, it's going to be a great show. We got a lot of questions. And yeah, it's good to see you working your manuscript. Author's Forge sounds interesting, Heather. We'll have to look into it. Right now, I'm currently using Vellum. So Vellum, and it's basically it. I switched over from Scrivener. Scrivener was it's a great program for writing, but it has so many bells and whistles, and it has so much stuff, and it's really powerful. But it's just overwhelming in the tools side. So I switched over to Vellum, and it's a little bit more stripped down. It still has a lot of functionality, but a little more stripped down and a little bit more basically for writing. You don't get distracted by all the other stuff. Good morning, Linda. Welcome. How's everyone doing today? It is a perfect day for smooth sailing. It really is. I have to be careful. I moved the mic in case you can't see it. This is the mic I've been used for since I upgraded the rig, let's say. Like the mic, the camera, the lighting. So I moved the camera back to the top of the monitor, which is a pretty big monitor, so it's up there. And the lighting, the old lighting I got for the like the Warriors pen and the other videos, so I didn't have to have the other lighting on, which is the track lighting. And the mic I got early on, and but I wanted to move it here only because I know you can pick up my voice easier when it's right here. I think it sounds better, but I have to be careful because now with my coffee, I have to be careful not to hit the mic. So yeah. Yeah, Atticus I hear is really good too. But I got Vellum because John Logs and JPL recommended it, and so I had to kind of switch over and get a Mac just so it could run Vellum, because Vellum doesn't really run on PC, and it works fine on Mac. It's designed for Mac, and I think there's a PC version, but I just got the Mac just for the development, and it makes life easier for me to read. I think the first 9 books I wrote on Word, and then after that, all the other books were written on Vellum, and it makes life easy in the terms of uploading and downloading and changing. You can't beat Vellum for that. So it's fantastic. Yeah, it's the only thing I use Mac for. I'm a definite PC user. I've built PCs. I have PCs. PCs are powerful. It's just that for Vellum, for the ease of use, I'll use the Mac for the writing for sure. I figured the mic being here wasn't too obtrusive. Like it was okay. I've seen other content creators have a mic like down here or like not too in the way. So as long as it's not in the middle of my face, we're good. So that's why I moved it there. And also for the Warriors pen, it's actually a better setup, and I don't have to speak too loudly, which makes life easier. I always feel like I have to raise my voice when the mic is far, even though I know this is a really good mic, and I don't have to, but it's this weird psychological thing. In any case, let's carry on to episode 162. Yeah, writing in Word in the beginning was rough. My first few books, actually, up until Montague and Strong, book 9, I was writing in Word. So all the books from Montague and Strong 9 back to the beginning were in Word. Welcome, Rhonda. You didn't miss it. You're here. Good morning and welcome. So, Spiritual Warriors, Sepia Blue, the first 3 Sepia Blues were written in Word, and so it's really clunky. And the more you write, I don't know now because I haven't used Word in years, so I don't know. Like, Yeah, and you're here, which is great. You didn't miss it. I haven't used Word in a long time, so I don't know how it is now. But I hear it's like you have to rent it now, and it's a whole thing, and it's like it's not the Word that I used way back in the day. So I don't. I'm not going back to Word, and I'm very happy with Vellum. Anthony, good morning. Welcome. So I got a book recommended to me by Aaron. Let's see if I can find the title again. Let's see. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go look for the title. Aaron recommended a book, sci-fi book for those of you that like sci-fi. I'll add it to the L3 in the mob after the cap talk. It's called. It's written by Larry Niven. You guys know who Larry. If you read sci-fi, you know who Larry Niven is. And Matthew Joseph Harrington. It's called The Goliath Stone, and he recommends it. So I'll put it up in the mob later. Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't used it, and I'm kind of locked into Vellum right now. So Vellum has worked well in terms of uploading, downloading, sharing. It's really designed for writer authors. So fantastic. All right, let me go through the shout outs because everyone's here. We're here. I know it's a smaller group today, but what matters is that we're here. So let's buckle up and do this. Shout outs. So YouTube, I want to shout out to everyone that's on YouTube. Thank you for joining me today on YouTube. You guys are awesome. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe because it helps the algorithm. It helps the channel grow, and we want the channel to grow. So I think we're still aiming for our first 1,000. We're getting there. We're at 470 something. So hello and welcome. So don't forget, if you're on YouTube, to like, subscribe, and share the channel. And it helps us grow. It helps us get our channel out there so more people can kind of hang out with us on our Kaffeeklatches. Thank you so much on YouTube. Instagram, I have been posting on Instagram, not as much as I wanted to, but I have. So go to Instagram and you can see. Let's see. Hold on, I'll get to that link in a moment, Chris. So on Instagram, I've been posting excerpts from the books, like small little pieces of the books, comments, dialogue, things like that. And I'm just trying to get back into the habit of posting on Instagram. I don't use Instagram that much because I'm not the kind of person that puts up pictures of myself and things like that. Here's our Instagram. Let's see how Streamer did. Oh, Streamer did really well today. So that's our Instagram link. Go there, follow us, and you'll see more recent posts on Instagram. I try to put up excerpts from the books, comments, dialogue, things like that kind of are punchy and attract attention, things like that. So that's Instagram. On Patreon, I'm not gonna go into too much detail. Let me hit Zazzle first because we have a lot of links to get into. Thank you, Chris, and thanks to our Ticklemancer Chris, who's putting up our links. This is our Zazzle affiliate link, so go to Zazzle. This is Zazzle swag. Get your swag. We have a lot of swag on Zazzle, so please go get some swag on Zazzle and support our Zazzle store. That's the link. The store is called M&S, EMANDES, and that's the link that we use so we can track everything that's happening. It's like a affiliate link in a sense, so we can just go there and see what's happening. So that's the link. All the links are up in the mob. So if you miss it here, you can find it in the mob. Okay. A huge shout out to our Patreon patrons. You guys are amazing. So I want to give a huge shout out to each of you. I know this is one of the most comfy hats. I try not to wear it too much because I don't want to ruin it. I have the other one and I ruined it, so I don't want to ruin this one. Huge shout out to our Patreon people. You guys are fantastic. To our patrons. If I used to read the list of everyone who's joined, but there's so many people joining that we'd spend half the show just reading the list of the people all the patrons that joined. Also, in addition to the people that have joined, a huge shout out to those who've increased their tiers and just gotten, you guys are incredible. I am amazed at how awesome you guys are. Our Patreon people are fantastic, and all of you are fantastic because if you're reading the stories, you are fantastic. If you're one of my readers, you are amazing. And if you're a Patreon and you're just going above and beyond to support, then thank you so much. And There have been little hiccups in the books where I've missed a name or two. Please do not hesitate to let me know. If your name doesn't appear at the end of the book, I try to put every patron's name in the back of the book, but sometimes the lists get kind of confused or mixed up. And so we get older lists that don't have the, because there's so many people, so we get older lists. And so the most recent list doesn't get added to the back of the most recent book. And so let me know, okay? Not late, you're here, and that's what matters. Hello, Jennifer. Okay, so a huge shout out to all the patron members, all the patron members and all your patrons. Thank you so much. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Let's see, what else we got going on here? Oh, okay. I don't think we have any new authors. Do we have authors? Chris, I don't think so. But we have a blanket policy with authors in terms of like, we support our indie authors. So if, like I just told you about the book, even though Larry Niven is not an indie author by any stretch of the imagination, he was writing when I was starting to learn how to read. So he's been around for a long time. Oh, we're also on Binge Books, Bibo, as we like to call it. Just go there. This is the link. Let's see if it breaks. Thank you, StreamYard. Go to Binge Books, find me there and see it says author Orlando Sanchez, and just kind of leave some social proof so we can just, again, it's just kind of impacting the algorithms all over the place and letting people know where we are and about the books. So just go there. Binge Books is kind of new as a service, and they just go out there and they're helping authors get recognized and found. So it's really important. And like we like to support services like that. Yes. So again, all these links are on in the MoB. You can find them there. And although we don't have any new books this week, we support our indie authors. Oh yeah, that's right. Website. Jeez, there's so many links. If you have a few extra minutes of your day, right? We have signed books on the website. So you can go, most recent book is Chaos Rising. So you can go there and get a signed book. I actually sign it with my special, this is my special signing Sharpie, purple, violet, lavender, I guess. And I signed all the books with that one. And go to the website. And if you want a signed book by the author, just order it from there. And just go and browse through the website and see what's there. And you may find something that you like, something that you've missed. Last time I checked, I know we're over 100 stories. I haven't counted. I know there's more than 100, 110. It boggles the mind that there's not that many stories out. But yeah, there's a lot of stories out, and there's a lot of books on the website. And that website is a product of a web designer and Dolly, who kind of streamlined it and fixed it and you know made it look as awesome as it does right now. So go to the website and check it out. And I think that's all for our announcements in the beginning of the show, which we always do. I'm going to take that off. And don't forget that all these links are in the MoB. Easy to find. All right. Updates. I'll get into it's already 15 minutes have passed. How did 15 minutes pass already? Sid. Okay. If you hear me say Sid, and you should know what that reference means. But you know. But yeah, 15 minutes have passed already. On with the show. Okay, so Chaos Rising. I was gonna mention before I wrote the notes for the show and before the updates were like kind of posted, I was gonna mention that don't forget to leave your reviews for Chaos Rising. And then I went and checked Chaos Rising reviews, and it's like at 300 something. I was like, you know what? Okay, no, the reviews exploded because the first time I checked, it was like 50 or 60. Which, by the way, 50, 60 reviews, when I started writing, let's say, Spiritual Warrior back then, to get 50 or 60 reviews was a dream, you know? So I'm not knocking 50 or 60 reviews. So when I went to go say, okay, I got to remind everybody to leave a review because, you know, sometimes we forget, it happens. Even I sometimes forget, I'm reading the book and it's so good, and then life gets involved and I'll forget to leave a review. So I was gonna say, okay, I gotta make sure that everyone knows to leave a review. And I get there, and it's like 300 something reviews. Oh, I guess I don't need to remind anyone to leave a review. So I want to thank all of you who left the review on Chaos Rising. You guys are awesome. We already mentioned that the signed copies are available. Go get a signed copy. It's awesome to have signed copies. I should sign. I have a whole shelf. I'm looking at the shelf of. Okay, the shelf that I have of my books of, and it's just basically Montague and Strong. If I had to fit all the books, I'd need shelves. But I haven't signed. I should sign all the books that I have of Montague and Strong. That would be awesome. I think I should take a date. And it's gotten so much now because we're at book 31 currently that now I had to stack books on top of the row of books. The shelf isn't long enough. A good problem to have, I think. I mean, I think about writers like Stephen King and all these other writers who just have shelves and shelves of books. You know, so digital books have saved space in my life for sure. So let's see. Let's go into Stiletto Dreams, which is the sci-fi story that I'm currently writing. It's getting really good, and it's taking a real concerted effort to keep it from blowing up past novella size. It's supposed to be 30K novella, right? 32K, 33K, maybe 35K. It's getting big. It's getting ample, you know. And so I'm gonna have to really work at keeping it a novella size because I want to be able to create the series and not make it so big. Oh, a quick aside. Um, I'm reading Skylar Ramirez, which is, and I know I met him at 20 books. I'm reading Skylar Ramirez, which is sci-fi. So I'm reading sci-fi as I write sci-fi, but it's different sci-fi. And his books are really fast. So I think they're really short because I read them like in a few hours. They're really, really fast. Yeah, there's no such thing as too many books written, right? I'm trying to, so in addition to reading Skylar, I'm just kind of reading it for kind of the flow of sci-fi, and I'm reading other sci-fi books, and I'm reading Martha Wells, which is a Murderbot series, and she released a recent one. So I'm trying to kind of just get the hang of how the sci-fi goes. So thanks, Chris, for letting me know that it's flowing well because sci-fi is there are different kinds of sci-fi. Obviously, there's hard science fiction and there's soft science fiction and there's the science and in sci-fi is hard science and when you bring magic into sci-fi, it's a little different because magic and sci-fi can be interchangeable depending on the I guess the civilization involved, right? So yeah, it's a lot to juggle, and I haven't done as much sci-fi as I'd like to. So this is a kind of new area for me. So it's been a lot of fun, and I've been kind of flexing the sci-fi muscles. So you guys let me know how Mercenary Blues is going, and now Stellar Dreams is having a lot. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and there's a lot of intrigue, and the Silent Vanguard is in there. So it's been a lot of fun. So you guys let me know when Stellar Dream comes out, which is I'm gonna say early next month it should come out because I'm really focusing on Dark Flame, which is M&S 31. Yeah, I haven't. Okay, I have most of Massey's books because, again, we support our indie authors. I just haven't read them, but I hear. I mean, so Jennifer, what do you think of Massey's books? I haven't read them, and when he first started, I was busy reading Kevin Hearn. So I didn't want to do two Druid books, even though I picked up Massey's books because I know him personally in terms of we met before. Again, we met in Vegas at 20 Books 50K. I just never read his books, but I hear Colin is a great character, and then the Druid books are a lot of fun. So let me know how it is. If you guys have read Massey, let me know because I can get into his Druid books after I write Dark Flame. After I write the books that I'm writing, at some point I make time to read the books that in my TBR. Yeah. Yeah, this would look like magic, Audrey. 100 years ago, you can speak to someone anywhere on the planet, even your cell phone. Yeah, you can call anyone. I mean, let's think about Star Trek, like the communicator. That would have been considered that was sci-fi, was science fiction with 1966. And now look at it. It's like, it's normal. You have a phone here like this that you can just call anyone on the planet. I can talk to anyone from here, from the comfort of my home. That would be considered magic. You have this special rectangle that when you touch certain buttons, it contacts anyone who has another magical rectangle. Are you kidding me? That's magic. So yeah. Let's see. Jennifer says, "I like the stories, but I don't love the characters." Like, oh, thanks, Jennifer. I mean, I don't talk about other authors and stuff like that because, you know, it's professional respect, I guess. But certain books, authors, certain books, characters, I get really attached to, and certain books, characters, I don't. It's just, I think it's just a matter of our own personal preferences, and that's why writing is art, and art is subjective, and everyone's entitled to their own preferences. And people do panic if the internet goes down. Are you kidding me? Yeah, it's like what used to be a luxury is now a necessity. It's incredible. Yeah, speaking of that, like characters make the story. I was because I'm doing the Warriors pen on Saturdays, right? On Saturdays so the Saturday following the Kaffeeklatsch, I do a Warriors pen, right? And it's basically just mixing warrior philosophy with writing discipline and how the two blend together. So characters for me, so in doing research for the Warriors pen, characters for me drive the story. I know a lot of people say plot and other things, but I always come up with the characters first, and the characters really do for me. It's basically you're following the character through a segment of their life, whatever that segment might be, whether it's Western or sci-fi or urban fantasy, but you're following this character through their life. So I do agree that characters do make the story. You made it, Paige. Welcome. You're here. That's what matters. Is that Arthur C. Clarke, Heather? And what exactly can you elaborate on what Clarke's law is? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yes, you complained. Okay, Audrey. So Linda says I read most of Massey's Druid books, love them, and a little behind on the most recent one. Excellent. See, it all depends. I'm sure there are people who don't like Mountain Storm. I'm sure they're out there. Yeah. Yeah, I like Sarah. Sarah's turning out to be a fun character. The little bit that you've shown me sounds fantastic. So yeah. All right. So what else? Okay. So I have the. I want to. How do I say this without spoiling? Okay. Huge shout out to all of you that read the most recent Patreon story, Bloodlust. If you're not on Patreon, really, guys, what are you doing? You got to get on Patreon. The next Patreon story is called Tip of the Spear. And I can't get into too much detail, but if you've read Mountain Strong, you know who the Tip of the Spear is. It's Nan. And it's a story with Nan and Simon, and they're going on a diplomatic mission. The place they're going, I can tell you this, they're going on a diplomatic mission to the city of Petra, which is an amazing, amazing city. So that's the setting. I can't tell you much more than that without giving it away, but get on Patreon and you'll read it. Linda says, I think characters are the most important because if you don't care about them, you won't care about the plot. Yeah, exactly. The character, and again, that's my opinion as well. I mean, it's not, there are a lot of people who say the plot is king and it has to be the plot. For me, it's characters. If you are not invested in the character, again, this is my opinion, it is not law. If you're not invested in the character, why would you read past the first page? And so this is why I've said this many times. You guys have heard me say this. So you've got to, as a reader, this is taking off my author hat and putting on my reader hat, and it looks just like this one, to the same hat. As a reader, you got to hook me by the first line. If you don't hook me by the first line, you got to hook me by the first paragraph. If you don't hook me by the first paragraph, first page. And if you don't hook me by the first page, first chapter. After the first chapter, if you don't hook me, I'm done. I'm done. Because there are too many stories out there for me to read and write. And primary in that hooking, unless the writer, the author is a fantastic author and can set up a plot that really grabs you in the beginning of a story, which it should, it's that character. Like you've placed the character in a situation that I want to know more about. So I try to be generous because up to the first chapter is a lot for some. I know people who's after the first paragraph are done if it doesn't hook them. But sometimes you need a little bit more running room to get into the story. And so I say the first chapter is good. After the first chapter, if I'm not invested in the character, it's hard for me to continue because there's so many stories that I could read that I know I like where this character is going. Yeah. Oh yeah, any advanced tech is indistinguished from magic. Exactly. Yeah, that is Clark. Yep, I believe it, and it's like that. Let's see. Character says, yeah, like Linda says, yeah. Petra is awesome. Petra's amazing. And the stone, the sand, it was called the Rose City because the stone is kind of pinkish. If you look at pictures of Petra, excuse me, pictures of Petra, say that 10 times fast. If you look at pictures of Petra, you'll see that the stone has a pinkish hue to it, which looks amazing. And so, without spoiling too much of the story, you should get on Patreon. Shameless plug. You should get on Patreon to get more of the story. It's Nan going as a diplomat and Deathless Simon going as her kind of bodyguard to make sure that the talks between vampires, mages, and werefolk go smoothly. That's not what could possibly go wrong with that. Yeah. Yeah. So she says, I usually try to get through at least one chapter. Once I stopped reading because of all the FMC you did in the first chapter was try and close. Yeah, see, if the female main character is just gonna try and close for the first, that's basically a fashion show. That's not gonna get me. Yeah, Simon as diplomat. That's gonna be. What could possibly go wrong with that scenario? I have no idea. No, no. So yeah. Um. So what's cooking in Dark Flame? I can tell you some things happening in Dark Flame. You guys are gonna. Poor Simon. Simon's getting played. There are so Dark Flame is like an onion. There are layers to Dark Flame right now, and Simon's getting played like so well by like okay. I don't want to spoil it. It's such an interesting story. I don't want to spoil it for you, but Simon's getting played in a way that he's not aware of, and it's twisting in interesting ways. I don't think it's gonna go feral because I do want to get it out this month, but we'll see. I always say that, and then it blows out of proportion. Simon, if Simon has to be the voice of, yeah, Reason has left the building. If Simon has to be the voice of Reason, but, and there is a but, Simon is not Simon in this. Simon is Deathless, and so Deathless has a bit more, I want to say, restraint or let's see, maturity. Is that the word for Simon as Deathless? Maturity. He's a little different as Deathless. So it should help, hopefully, but there are going to be a lot of volatile elements there that he's going to have to navigate, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be quite a ride already. I think I'm already on part 3 because these Patreon stories, especially the Morgan's Man, they're supposed to be shorts, and they end up being long shorts is what they end up doing. How hard is it to separate Simon from Deathless? Not that hard because the mask is kind of what does the separating. So as long as he's wearing the mask, it's not that it changes his personality, but it just reveals a deeper aspect of who Simon can be. The mask is actually a potentiality manifested. So basically, what Simon could be at some point without the mask is what the mask. So the mask allows for Simon to tap into that potential, kind of like early. So that's why it's easy if he just takes off the mask. As long as he's wearing the mask, he's leaning more towards his deathless personality. And so in the M&S stories, they call him deathless. It's different than when in the Patreon stories when he's wearing the mask and he's acting as deathless. He's acting as what he would end up becoming in the M&S stories. And at some point, the M&S stories and the Patreon stories have to kind of meet somewhere. And then that should be interesting. Yeah, the mask is like a doorway. It allows Simon to be who he can be. And it unlocks things that, so it doesn't give him abilities, it allows him to tap into latent and potential abilities. And that's the best way to describe it because later on he gets to, this is much later on. So later on, hopefully after 100 assignments, he gets to just be deathless whenever he wants to. And by that point, Simon's a force of nature. Simon's like a major threat to any enemy at that point. Let's see. So that's that situation. Go talk to your mom, Jennifer. That's important. Yeah. And say hello from the Kaffeeklatsch. What is Audrey saying? The mask is similar to how people live where? Oh, live. I used to have my corporate mask. Yeah, exactly. So people, and in life, there's no Japanese saying that you show that you have three faces, right? So you have the face that you show to the world, you have the face that you show to like your family and very close people in your life, and then you have the face that you show to no one. So, and in a sense, they're almost all three are kind of masks in a way. I guess the last one would be your true self, but you have a forward facing mask persona that you show to everyone in your world. Then there's another one persona that you kind of show to only the close people in your life, the intimate circle, the closer circle. It's like a mask. And then I guess when you reveal the last mask, it's basically you remove that mask and you're mask less. That's the one that you show to no one. That's the most intimate face that you have. But they're all kind of masks in a way. So the mask that Steinman wears is basically revealing of his potential power and maturity, and it's still a lot of Simon in there. So, but it's kind of like he's growing into the mask, basically. Yeah, let's call it that, growing into the mask. And like Audrey says, their masks. I mean, in corporate world, their masks you have to grow into. Like if people expect you to be a certain way or conduct yourself a certain way or have certain responsibilities, you have to put on a mask and you've got to kind of grow into that mask as the boss, as the executive person, as this corporate individual. You don't immediately become that, but over time and experience and with learning, that mask becomes what you wear when you walk into the office that day. So yeah, it's there are masks. We all wear masks. That's Chris says. Yeah, so that's the case with Dark Flame is getting really interesting. It is getting interesting. I'm trying not to go too much into it because I don't want to spoil it for you. But it is getting interesting, and I can tell when the story starts to flow when I start writing several chapters in a day, and my chapters are like 2,000 words. So up to 2,000. Sometimes I'm like 1,800, 1,900. Sometimes like 3,000, which is insane. But when I start writing several chapters in a day, and I pause whatever other story I'm working on. So right now I'm simultaneously working on Stiletto Dreams, which is the sci-fi story, and Dark Flame. And when I pause Stiletto Dreams or any other story and focus just on Dark Flame, I start hitting that groove where the story starts taking off. And so that's what happened with Dark Flame so far. We'll see where Stiletto, I paused Stiletto at a really, really good point. So when I jump back in, it's easy to just pick up and run with it. So we'll see. And since it's 30K, I want to put that in air quotes. Disclaimer, 30K. It shouldn't be too long. I'm already like 10K in. Am I 10K in? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm 15K in. So yeah. Then once I get back in, so I'm halfway through Stiletto Dreams, and the other half will be easy to kind of jump in because it's a series. And I'm at like almost 30K in Dark Flame. So we'll see. I'm either halfway through or maybe halfway through. We'll see. Depends. It's like Chris said, when the story's flowing, the word count jumps and takes off. And I really don't look at word counts when the story's flowing like that because it doesn't make sense for me to stop and look at the word count. So usually when I start writing, I have an idea, a goal of what I want to hit like for the day. And I usually have it written down. I have a goal. I want to get to X amount of words. But as I'm writing, I don't look at that as I'm writing because what happens is I start getting through story parts or story beats, things that need to happen, and I just start getting into the story. It's like this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this goes to this, and it leads to that. And before you know it, it's if you ever play video games, it's like when you have to get to a quest, and on the way to that quest, there's 3 side quests that kind of spring up on you. You're like, okay, now I gotta do this, but then this has me go do that, and then that has me go do something else. That's kind of like the same thing in writing. You start writing, you want to get to from point A to point B, but on the way to point B, C, D, E, and F have kind of ambushed you, and you have to kind of pay attention to it and thread them in to the story. And that's why writing is like weaving, like a word weaving, you know? Yeah, that's when like when you get up, you take a moment, get some coffee, go for a walk, use the restroom, you get up, then you look at your work and say, oh, okay, I have X amount to get to. Oh, wow, I surpassed whatever I wanted to do. And everything else is, as we call it, everything else is gravy. You know, I already passed my workout for the day. I can stop right now. But the story is so interesting, I don't want to stop right now. So I'm just going to keep going. And those are really good days. When you have days like that, those are really good days. Not every day's like that, but the more you show up to the story, like each day, the easier it gets to have days like that. It's like Louis L'Amour says, you show up and inspiration shows up with you. And that's a huge paraphrase. So don't quote me. But I know it's something like that. You show up to work and inspiration shows up with you. I believe that was Louis L'Amour. He had something about inspiration and writing and something like that. And he's still known as a Western writer. So yeah. Yeah. See, now that you can see better, your days get better because you're not struggling with one of the basic things, which is being able to see the screen or being able to see the words. So if you can see, writing becomes easier for sure. Okay, so let me just get through 2 more updates. The Warriors Pen episode is tomorrow, so if you haven't dropped by, you can see they're all recorded. So you can just go on YouTube and look them up. They have a great logo. It's like the red Enzo circle with a sword and a pen, and it says the Warriors Pen, so it's easy to find. It's under Bitten Peaches, so you can find it there. So the Kaffeeklatsch is going to be, we take a hiatus now between June and August. We're off for the summer, okay? So just heads up, next Kaffeeklatsch, which is the 29th, right? Today's the 15th. So the 29th is our next Kaffeeklatsch, and then we're on break until September. So just let you know, I want to give you a heads up. So you come next show, because it'll be the last one for the, I guess, spring? We really haven't had much of the spring. I guess there's going to be a summer break from June to August. And September, we'll start up all over again. But yeah, the breaks are good. It's the summer, get out, do the things. So just giving you a heads up, okay? So next episode on the 29th, and then after that, it'll be in September. So just so you know, okay? Let's get to the questions because we have a ton of questions, and I want to get to all of them, and I don't want to run out of time, okay? And if you have any questions, this is the time to ask them because I'm right here. So any questions, and if it's regarding Dark Flame, you could ask, and I'll answer if I can answer without spoiling the story, okay? Yeah. Yeah, summer breaks are good. We did 6 years straight. I can't believe we did 6 years straight. Just that it's boggling to think that we did this for 6 years nonstop. So yeah, let's start taking breaks. I think breaks are good. Summer breaks are good. 3 months out of 12, yeah, I can wrap my head around that. That works. All right, let's get to questions because we have so many of them. And I want to first preface this by saying thank you to all of you who left questions. You guys are amazing. And, you know, the questions make this so much more fun because I get to kind of jump into your head and you get to ask questions, all right? All right, here we go. First one on the list in no particular order, okay? Anthony Hudson asks, would you consider making an M&S novel into a rock rap musical if Lin-Manuel Miranda pitched and produced it? If so, which book? Jeez. That confluence of events is, it's hard to even wrap my head around Lin-Manuel Miranda contacting, pitching it, and producing it. But let's go there. I would say Tumors and Butterflies, I think, would be the best book for that. Kind of lends itself to a cinematic setting, like a medium. But there's so many, you know. But Anthony, man, I'm glad I had coffee because your question is like, whoa. The amount of things that have to happen for that to kind of fall into place, yeah. Oh, you're welcome, Connie. Yeah, I like to let you guys know ahead of time if they're going to be changed and things like that. So definitely, yeah. Okay. Joe Durham has 2 questions for this Friday, just today. One, thank you for the question, Anthony. I'll contact Lin Manuel and let him know that you're thinking about him producing an M&S book. So Joe's questions are: what's the time frame for the next Wanda book? The next Wanda book, the time frame is 2026, some point. So that's the time frame. And will we get some more insight into Cole, what he is or what he might be? I don't know, because the next book is Coda heavy. Like, it's basically really discussing Coda and kind of like who she is and why she's a cipher and all that stuff. But I think I can gloss a bit. I can touch a bit on Cole's role in Gray's life for sure. Welcome, Tammy. Good morning. So we can say hello to Larry too, please. So Cole's kind of an enigma, but I can kind of deconstruct, I guess, or open up a little bit more about Cole and who and what he might be and why the Division 13 might be kind of looking into him, or who he is, basically. So yes, TK is in the house. Yes. Oh, you have a whole big chapter. Not just one, actually. You have a few chapters in Dark Flame. I can't say what I'm spoiling. Damn it! But there's this excellent fight scene that's coming up with TK. That's gonna be like whoa. It's like oh, yeah. All I can say is this: after this next fight scene with TK and LD, people are gonna want to. The next thing that people are gonna say is, "Where's the 10? Where are the stories about the 10?" That's all I have to say. It's set up to be that good. Okay, but there's already a good chapter with TK kind of educating Simon, as she is apt to do. All right, next question by Audrey, who was ill and still sent in her questions last Kaffeeklatsch, so she can keep her streak, and now is back, hopefully not ill. And these are the next questions by Audrey. Question 1: how did you pick Cane Corso for people, and why not a Chihuahua? Okay, Chihuahuas, as much as I like Chihuahuas, they are not very intimidating. Sorry. If you're a big Chihuahua fan, I respect it, but a Chihuahua is not very loud and very yappy, but not intimidating. So I needed a breed that was intimidating just by standing there, And so Cane Corso was the choice for that, because if you've ever met a Cane Corso in life, like that stood close to one, you would see why that breed is respected. First, they get huge, and I mean huge. And if they're well kept, like if they're fed well, it's mostly muscle, and then they just have to look at you, and it's like, okay, whatever you want, we're good. So that's why Cane Corso, and it's a beautiful breed. I like Cane Corso for Peaches, and how could you not love a Cane Corso named Peaches? It'd be awesome. So yeah, so that's why I picked Cane Corso. Next question: what album had the greatest influence on your musical taste? Listen, you ask these fantastic questions, Audrey, that I cannot nail down to like one thing. Many albums, I have my music taste is very eclectic ever since I was growing up. I mean, I grew up with all kinds of music, so, and culturally too, because I have a Latin background, so it's not just like American music. I was listening to European music. I was listening to Latin music. It was like music from everywhere, all over the place. So it's like a smorgasbord of influences that kind of combine to give me my musical taste. So it's I can't pinpoint to just one album. That would be impossible. Actually, that would really be impossible, because even as I was growing up, there were different music influences as I was growing. So yeah, can't be just one. If Chihuahuas could fly, we'd have a problem. Yeah, we'd definitely have a problem. Yeah, see, I don't really fear the Chihuahuas, even though they're snappy little creatures. They just have that temperament that they think they could take on anything, which is good. But because when you're that tiny, you better be tough. You know? All right, next question. What M&S scene affected you the most emotionally? Oh, wow. So, I mean, there were so many throughout the books. There are so many. The first time Simon thought Peaches died, I would say recently when Simon gave the eulogy for Paige was the one that really affected me. Writing that was tough. Writing that one was tough. Yeah, that one was a tough one. So yeah, that would be the one right now, most recently. But all throughout the books, there are many scenes that affect me when I write them. But I gotta kind of take a break and pause and go, "Oof, that was deep." Okay, thank you, Audrey. Those questions were excellent. All right. Katie asks, "You're very welcome." Katie asks, or states, "More creepy artwork. Explain Monty's neck because I know it has to be important." I don't think you're referring to his neck per se, but to what he's wearing around his neck, which is I can't really. I'm gonna have to cop out and just say read the book in Dark Flame. It explains, but it does explain in Dark Flame what it is. That's as much as I can say. But yes, when you read Dark Flame, it is explained because it's different. If you have an eagle eye and you're looking at the covers carefully, it's not just his neck, what's around his neck that's important. That's all I can say without spoiling the story. But good eye, that's really good. Catching that is really good. More questions from Katie. Did Simon get his dislike of modern art, and particularly the Tate Modern, from you? Yeah. Oh yeah. When I went to London, I went to the London the Tate on the Thames, and I walked into this place and I said, "What? Are you kidding me? Really?" It was immediate dislike. So I harbored that dislike. I kept it. I nourished it. I nurtured it, and then I put it in the book. And this is why you don't mess with authors. Yeah, he got that directly from me. The Tate is a very unattractive building, even for a modern art museum. Yeah. So, but this is again, art is subjective. It's my opinion, and I did not like the building at all. And it's a huge. When I say huge, it's an enormous building that they could have done so much with, and they chose not to, and it's reflected in the fact that I think a lot of people don't like that building. I'm not speaking about the art; just the building itself was. What's the word? Grotesque, to put it nicely. Okay, how much of your opinions, likes, dislikes are reflected in your character? Not really that much. Simon likes a lot of things I don't personally like, and Monty's English, so I'm not. So I have to kind of tap into the Englishness of his character, and like he likes tea. I drink coffee. I don't really drink that much tea. I can drink tea, but I don't really. If I have to choose between the two, I'm going to choose coffee every time. So some of it's there, but I try to tailor the likes and the dislikes and the opinions to how the characters have evolved over time. So yeah, I will say I like McVitie's digestives. Those biscuits are really good. Yes. And Katie goes on to say, and a certain famous but not named fast food restaurant that Simon was perfectly happy to have Monty blow up. I'm trying to remember what that fast food restaurant was because they've blown up so many things. If any of you remember what that was, yeah. I don't know, Jennifer. I've read all of Steve McHugh's books. I don't know if he destroyed the Tate in one of his Helgrim books. He's gone on a pretty bad tear too, destroying things. I guess he's allowed some liberty because he's English. He lives over there, so he can destroy as much as he wants. I try not to destroy too much of New York, but I did go on a rampage when the guys went to London, and I blew up all the bridges along the Thames. And I think what really got a few readers upset was that I touched the Tower of London, and some of it was destroyed. It wasn't completely destroyed, but some of it got damaged, and I got so many messages from just that part, like, "You can't blow up the Tower of London. It's part of the history. Do you know how old that building is?" I was like, okay. Noted. Don't destroy the Tower of London. I didn't blow up London Bridge though. Did I blow? No, I blew up London Bridge. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there were some parts I didn't that were spared. I think I spared Buckingham Palace and I spared Windsor. Um, and I spared. There were a few places that were spared. The Eye was not spared. The Eye rolled down the Thames. Most of the bridges along the Thames were blown up or destroyed or crushed. Yeah, I try not to do that in New York too much, but even in New York, I've blown up a lot of places. So we get to do that as authors. It's fun. It's fun to blow up places. So if I think he blew up a Tate Modern. I'm not sure which one, but I think he did that as well. It's fun. You just have to do it right, and there's some things you should not blow up. I guess some landmarks you should leave alone. Yeah, you just have to be careful. Like I learned this one early on, thanks to all of you who've been from the beginning. You never kill the dog. I tried. I didn't really try to kill a dog. I left it where it was questionable, and in no uncertain terms, I was told you need to change that immediately, or we will find you with pitchforks and torches. So I learned that right away. You don't touch the dog ever. And I'm a dog lover. I have a new pepper. I love dogs. So I thought, but yeah, it's just a story. No. And going back to what we were discussing earlier about characters, right? When readers get into it, let's say like a series, like let's say Mountains Against Strong, which is 30 books at this point. There are certain characters which, and everyone picks their favorite, right? We all have our favorite characters in the stories. But if you touch a certain character, or if you touch a character that people really, really like, you create real backlash. Like people get really upset that you have touched a character that they identify with, or resonate with, or enjoy reading, or enjoy seeing. It's a real thing. It's not like, oh, this is theoretical. No. I know readers who've gotten very upset that an author has decided to retire a character. And personally, when I was reading Jim Butcher, I mean, I still read Jim Butcher, but when I was reading Jim Butcher, he got rid of Morgan, the warden. Morgan, he got, I'm not spoiling anything because this is a while ago. I stopped reading him for a while because of that one character he got rid of. I was like, how could you, Jim? How could you? So, if you're an author and you're writing, remember that people will get attached to characters, and it's a real attachment, like real. So be careful. All right. Chris is asking some questions. Are some character names easier to create and name than others? Yes. Some characters will come to you fully fleshed out. Name, looks, ideals, ideologies. It's the whole package. And then some characters you're struggling over what should this character be named. When I have that issue where I can't get the name right away, sometimes I put that character to the side unless they're really important. Or sometimes that character is not meant to have a central role in the story because their presence isn't coming easily. So I'll give you an example for Stiletto Dreams, the sci-fi story I'm writing. All those characters came fully fleshed out, like really kind of even Momo, which I was surprised because I wasn't going to do another animal companion, but the chunk, when he's a chunk, how could I not? So yeah, even Momo came completely fleshed out, and he's kind of growing as the story grows. He's growing, so it's a lot of fun. Lydia Scherer has a tagline that says, "The dog doesn't die." Yeah, that's a smart. That is the smart tag to do it because you don't want to ever hurt an animal. You could put them through. I'll put it to you like this: I made the decision early on after I learned that you can't touch the dog. I made the decision early on to make Peaches virtually indestructible because of that. That's the only reason why Peaches. And so the only way he can do that is he's a hellhound, so nothing can really hurt him. And even when he was poisoned, that one book when Thomas poisoned him, still he made it through that because the animal has to be indestructible. So if you can find a way to make your animal indestructible, my advice as an author is please do so because people get upset at you if you hurt the animal. It's, you can take that or leave it, but yeah. Next question from Chris. Do you ever talk out loud, dialogue, or scenes, either on purpose or by accident? Sometimes I'll flesh out a dialogue. Usually I do it in my head because I, I have the voices of, like, let's say Monty and Simon. They're so in my head that I don't have to speak it out loud. But when I bring in another character that might interact with them, sometimes I'll talk out loud just to see how it sounds. I'll do that sometimes with Dex because he's such a kind of strange character. And he'll say things like, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Like, he speaks in a lot of metaphors. And so I kind of have to smash metaphors together to create a metaphor. And then I kind of have to feel it out to see how it sounds. And then I have to add Dex's particular voice to it. So sometimes with Dex, I'll do that. With the female scary characters, I don't. It's just, yeah, no, that comes naturally. So no. Okay. Let's see. And because the reader said so, Peaches became a major character. Yes. Peaches was a side character for the first few books, and all of a sudden, and I didn't realize that he was the heart of the series until about book 3, book 4. And the readers saw it before I did, and they very wisely told me, Peaches is the heart of this series. Write him as such. And I said, you know what? Let's go with that. Peaches is the heart of the series. I will write it as such. And here we are, book 31. So listen to your readers. I mean, that's kind of like a no-brainer. Listen to your readers if they give you good advice. Next question from Chris says, have you ever done an author's convention book signing besides Vegas 20 books? No, the only one I've gone to is 20 books to 50K in Vegas, and got to see some great people and got to meet Tammy and Larry and a lot of other authors and everybody that was there, and we got to do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. I got to go on a zip line on one of those. Oh, it's great. That's the only one I've ever done. I don't think the problem with going to conventions is con crud. If you don't know what con crud is, it's you end up coming back home and you get sick. So it's like, I don't know why it happens. It does happen. It could be just because you're around so many different people and you get exposed to everything. And so I wasn't crazy about the con crud I got the 2 times I went to 20 books to 50K. So I said, you know what? I'm not doing that again for a while. And then the pandemic hit and no one was going to any conventions. And now 20 books to 50K has changed ownership. So I don't know if I would go back, but I do know who to switch to. But I don't know. The thing about conventions, there's this weird thing. Like, in the beginning, you go when you're starting out because you want to network with authors, right? As you progress a little bit, you don't want to go because you're so focused on writing, right? Because you want to get the stories out. And so you don't have that much time to just take a week and go off, right? But then I guess when you get a bit more of a backlist, you could go again just to connect with readers, not so much authors, but with readers. And I think that's when it's really fun to just go out there and just meet people who love your stories. I think that would be great to do that. So maybe, in a few years, I'll go and just hang out and there's no pressure at that point because you have a lot of stories out there and you just there to meet people and meet your readers and they tell you about the stories. And sometimes I've had readers tell me about, and when this and this and this happened, I'm like, what story? Who wrote that? Like, you wrote that. Like, oh, okay then. Let me go back and check, Cons are a lot of work. Like Chris is commenting. Are cons a lot of work? Yes, cons can be a lot of work depending on your participation in the con. I've spoken to authors who are very well known who they just go to the con and show up. And they don't really have to do anything but be there, and that's kind of great. But if you're going there to kind of connect and network and meet people, like I would go to a con to sit on panels, to meet readers, to meet authors. So it is a lot of networking. It's a lot of work in that sense, but that's a lot of fun work. If you get to meet other authors, because again, we're readers first. So if I've read an author and they're at the con, I want to go talk to them. I want to go say, hey, I read your book. It was awesome, because we are readers first. At least I like to think that most authors are readers first, right? And so if there's an author that I've read, I'm fanboying. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it, you're here. And then we're talking, and then, and that's what's fun about cons. And authors, on the whole, most of them are very anonymous. It's like a weird notoriety. It's like semi-notoriety. Like you could be author celebrity, which is like an author can walk into a restaurant and no one knows who he is until you hear the name, probably if they're really well known, right? And unless you're like Stephen King or some other really well known author that everybody knows by face, but or like Ilona Andrews, all these like New York Times best-selling authors. Some of them, most people know what they look like. But most authors are anonymous and they have this interesting celebrity where they can walk into places and not be bothered. But when you go to a con, everyone knows, oh, this is the author that wrote this one because it's put out there. And so that makes it kind of fun because you discover, hey, you look exactly as I imagined you, things like that. And that makes it fun. Is it work? Yeah, the few cons that I went to, and I guess they're not really cons. I guess they could be considered cons. But the few that I went to, the 20 Books Vegas, will work in the sense of you get out there, you put yourself out there. And if you know anything about authors, most authors are introverts. So putting yourself out there for hours and hours and hours, after a while you're just drained. You just want to go into a dark room and sit, But the other cons like Dragon Con, which is so huge that it takes up entire buildings, and I don't know if it still does that because it was like that before the pandemic. I don't know how affected it was after the pandemic, but cons like that you just go because you just see so many different intellectual properties. You get to meet the people who created everything, and Dragon Con is like all the different fantasy, different sci-fi authors, movie makers, like film. It's you get to see across the board everything that has to do with so many different genres that it's like at first it's just overwhelming. It's also so huge, but it's a lot of fun in the sense that you just get to go and see everything about everyone about everything in terms of sci-fi, fantasy, magic. It's just all there. And something like Dragon Con is like that. Chris says only my doctor and barber ask about my writing. But that's good. You still have people asking about it, which is awesome. And that's, hey, that's a good thing. I think that's all the questions. That is, I believe, all the questions. Yeah, that's all the questions. You guys, those are awesome questions. You guys, thank you so much for asking these questions because it does make the show so much more fun and so much more interactive. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, this is the time to ask them because I'm here and you can ask them and then we can move on from there. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to show you guys before the 29th? Don't forget to check out the Warriors pen. Yes, please share and like those videos. It comes out tomorrow. Dark Flame is going really well. It's going. I'm surprised in the direction that it's going. It reminds me of what is a movie that I saw in the past that reminded me. It's kind of Inception like. Oh my god, I'm channeling Christopher Nolan. It's like it's not a dream within a dream within a dream, but it's basically something's happening that's covering up something else that's happening, that's covering up something else that's happening, that's revealing something else. And Dex is at the heart of that. And it's going to come up now in this story. In the next story, which is Dark Mage, in the story after that, which is Absolution. So those three books, like Dark Flame, Dark Mage, and Absolution, are a mini trilogy within the bigger series. But then it comes up later in Echoes of Silence, which is a Dex-centered story, which is going to be like, wow, is everything that happened in these three books comes to a head in Echo of Silence, which is, let me look at the list. Oh, it's right after Absolution. So yeah, and then after Absolution, we have Echo of Silence, and then we have Necrosis, which is going to be a story featuring Venice Fontaine. And if you don't know who Venice Fontaine is, you just have to go back to Chaos Rising, So yeah. Chris says, my neighbors think I'm just a crazy cat guy who types on his computer. You are the crazy cat guy who types outside his computer, and that's okay. That's how you write stories. Connie says, it's insightful to listen on what you are saying, Orlando, and all of the questions that are being asked. Yeah, the questions are great. You guys come up with some, as I say, some real doozies, some questions that I'm like, wow. And I don't read the questions prior to the show because I want to approach the questions fresh and open and like not be biased. So I don't want to have to think about the answers. I want to answer them in the moment. But yeah, some of your questions are amazing. Like all your questions are amazing, and some of them are really fantastic. And I just it's boggling to think how you guys come up with these questions. Like especially like Anthony's contacting Lin-Manuel Miranda. I never would have imagined that question. Not in 100 years. Make a MS novel to a rock rap musical with Lin-Manuel Miranda. But if he could do Hamilton, he could do Montague and Strong. I mean, who would have thought that Hamilton would have been one of the biggest plays ever, play slash musical? It's incredible to even consider that. But he sat down and said, you know what? Yeah, I think we could do this. Have Hamilton and the founding of this country, but we're gonna do it as a rap. Yeah, no one. That's that's creative genius when you think about the evolution or the genesis of that Broadway show. It's amazing. I think so. I try to, the Kaffeeklatsch is, so as Chris is saying that every show has useful insights for writers, right? I like to think so. I like to kind of, I gear it towards the writing process and the stories and the characters and things that we're going through. I mean, we've had shows where we discuss some seriously deep topics, but I try to focus, or at least I try to steer the focus towards the writing, because many writers, authors have visited us, have appeared on the show, and basically they've all told me it's great that you can talk about writing, and then you can kind of talk to writers who are starting and people who want to get into writing. And I try to create an environment where we all feel, welcome and safe, and that we can discuss all this stuff. And maybe if you have questions that you may feel like I can't ask this question anywhere else, you can ask it here. He definitely did, Paige. I wonder how, I'm gonna have to look up the history of Hamilton, because I wonder how many people heard that idea and said, you have lost your mind, Lin-Manuel. No one's gonna watch this. No one's gonna go to Broadway to watch it. No one's gonna pay money to see this thing. You must be crazy. Get out of here. Chris says, just a chance to talk with an author you read is, I think that's awesome. I think if I could speak to every author I read, that would be fantastic. That would be like, if we could just have a show of authors you read are all here and willing to speak with you, that'd be, and we can make it like a 3-hour show, that'd be fantastic. Audrey says, how do you do, if you do, separate the personal life of creators versus the art? Oh, for example, Neil Gaiman. Ooh, that's a tough one, because here's the thing. And, I can't, the artist and the creation are too intertwined for me to separate, which is why artists have to be really careful about what they do in their lives when they put their work out there. Because, and I'm sure there are people who can differentiate and say, well, the artist and the creation are two different things, but you can't have the creation without the artist. It doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It needs a conduit of some kind, right? And if you create something, let's say write a book, or let's say write a book, because that's the one I can relate to the most. You write a book, and people read your book, and they support your writing. There's a certain premise, and there's a certain contract between you and your readers, right? Where they're getting this book, this writing, based on who you are as a person, irrespective of the characters and the story. Many people I know would pick up books just based on the author, not even the story. Like, it's a brand new book, but this person wrote it, so I'm getting it without even sight unseen. So there's no difference between the art and the creator. They're getting the art based on the creator, which is why if you're a creator, you have to be really careful how you walk through the world, because, again, you're the creator, but you're also the art. It's really, I guess it's hard to explain, but for me, the art and the creator are the same. And so when the creator does things like what Neil Gaiman did, or has been accused of, I don't know if he's been accused of, it's alleged. I don't follow Neil Gaiman. And like what he did with Good Omens, like the final Good Omens, I read the book. He didn't, and Terry's not here any longer. And why are you taking these liberties? And why is it going in that direction? So I don't know if I can watch The Last Good Omens because it deviated so far from the story, from the book. It's hard for me to be okay. Because Gaiman wrote, I'm gonna no. We're also readers who are, you should treat your readers as intelligent individuals. And if you go so far, if you stray so far from a story, you're going to lose people. That's just what's going to happen. And so, in addition to everything that's happened to him as a person and the things that he's been accused of and everything that comes up, it's hard to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna the next Good Omens, yay! I saw how the last Good Omens left, and I was like, why? Why did you have to go there? And so, when you make me ask why, without really giving me a good reason, it's hard for me to go, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna pick up the next one, just for the sake of picking it up. That's gonna be tough. That's a tough call, but it's tough. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. And Audrey, just like you, I'm iffy about the final Good Omens as well. And the casting is spectacular, but the story may not be so great. Paige says it's almost impossible to separate a person's notoriety from their art. Just learning about something they did changes your perception, whether you want it to or not. This is true. And it's, none of us is 100% good and none of us is 100% bad. We all have our mix of light and dark, right? But I think that if you're going to be an artist, you need to really try to lean towards, and there are people who create personas that they're bad boys, like, what's this, the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and the guy who wrote that, Hunter S. Thompson, was known to be a notorious bad boy, and people followed him because of the persona he had created. So he has to lean into that. But it's like, you have to be able to discern too as a reader. The art and the creator are intertwined, but it's going to impact different parts of your life. Like prior to you knowing this, did you enjoy it? Yes. After you knew this about the artist, did you enjoy it? Had the art changed? The art hasn't changed, but like Paige says, your perception changes. And so you have to grow with your perception. Linda says, the way I see it, almost no one is completely good or bad. So if I like your work, that means there's some part of the creator that was worth it, even if it's a small part. So you don't have to throw out the work along. Yeah, you shouldn't throw out the work of the creator, but you need to be discerning about it. That's a tough call, and that's an individual call. Like, I know there are a lot of stuff, and I'll say stuff meaning creation, art, that was created by really questionable people that I can appreciate, because you can look at the art and respect the art for what it is. And when I say art, I mean across many different mediums, right? Not just writing. And so you have to be discerning and say, okay, I can appreciate this art without completely endorsing what the artist, the creator, did. And that's where you have to decide for yourself. That one's a complicated one because it puts a lot of the burden on the person who's consuming the art, because we like to kind of check out and put it all on the creator, but we also have to take responsibility for the art that we consume. And that's really important. And that's why art is subjective. There are people who hate Picasso, and there are people who love Picasso. And you can't say one person's right, one person's wrong. Picasso was a notorious womanizer. Does that mean that his art has any less value? It gets really deep, Yeah, I've heard about that recently. Mother Teresa is venerated and sainted. She's a saint, according to the Catholic religion, right? That they do posthumous saint. But by the posthumous accounts, she was actually cruel. Now, I wasn't there to see the cruelty. So do I believe the accounts, or do I make my own decision, my own choice, and decide how I want to interact with what she did? That's where the rubber meets the road. You have to take responsibility for the art that you consume, and you have to take responsibility for your interaction and your actions in regards to the perception that might have changed because of something the creator did. It's hard though. That's a great question, Audrey, because that's Audrey who asked that question, because that's a really good question. Yeah. So separating the personal life, it's like Hemingway is considered one of the classic great authors, but his personal life was pretty crappy. So does that mean that his writing is less good, less valuable? So that's what you have, and that's why, like Chris said, you have to make your own. In that regard, you have to make your own call. You have to make your own choice because you, and and the great thing about art is that you can choose. I don't like this, or I like that, and either one is okay. I don't like this artist. I don't like this author. I don't like this painter, sculptor, whatever, and that's okay. No one's gonna tell you, you have to like this. No, and it's up to you. It is subjective, but I'm not saying it's easy. In terms of like the last Good Omens, I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. I'm kind of, I just personally, I just didn't like the way the story went because I'm still in my head on the first book, on the only book, Good Omens, right, the first story, which they stayed true to in the first series. The second series deviated because it went past the book, so now Terry Pratchett is no longer an influence, and you can see the difference between the first series and the second series. The series where Terry was involved, you could see how the story, grew and became the awesome story it was. Now you don't have Terry's input, it kind of changes the story completely. And it's like, and now even more, the third series, it's not even a series. I think it's just like a big show, like a 90-minute show. It's because of the controversy, they kind of cut it short. So now there are external factors impacting the story. So that's why. Be discerning, you're intelligent, use that intelligence when you're following certain creators, and don't try not to let the drama or the conflicts. If you like something, then like it unapologetically, and that's just, it's your prerogative to be able to like whatever you like. You can be counterculture, and that's okay too. I mean, I grew up that's when punk rock started, and that's how it is. Yeah. Sometimes you don't even remember how to think. So be you. Don't let other people. Don't let the crowd determine how you should be. Be you. And if you like an author, or you like a movie, or you like a painting or an artist, then yeah, that's your choice. You can do that. Yeah, exactly. The ending was okay, but the story itself in Good Omens 2, I was like, I don't like it. It's like, it wasn't. But yeah, thank you for the great question. Audrey, you say that question, that last question for that was that was like the bombshell question. It's a great question. Is that we could do a whole show on that one question about separating the art from the artist. It's that deep of a topic. We really could, Audrey. So thank you for sharing that question. And guys, we are way past that. So I want to say thank you so much for joining us on the Kaffeeklatsch, for joining me on the Kaffeeklatsch today. We have one more show on the 29th, and then we're going to pause for June, July, August for the summer break. That's what we're going to call it, the summer Kaffeeklatsch break. Then we come back in September. So I hope to see you in the next show, which is on the 29th. We'll be here. I'll try and pack it up and see how we're doing with Dark Flame. Hopefully by that time, Dark Flame is done. Have a great day today, and don't forget my 3 Bs. Be kind, because it doesn't cost you anything to be kind, right? Be unstoppable, because the only one that can stop you is you. And be uncommon, because there's only one of you in the entire universe. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Great rest of the day. If it's sunny out, go enjoy the sun, catch some rays. Vitamin D is good for you. If you're writing or you're doing something sedentary, sitting down, get up and walk around and get the blood flowing, get the circulation. Have a great day. Let's close it out with some awesome Monty Strong music. I'm going to take my scary face on and put a wonderful face on. Have a great day today. Bye, everyone. Love and coffee. Thank you, Marie. Love and coffee. And hi, Marie. Don't forget that's our new one. And I wish you much love and coffee. Awesome.